Hi guys, been having some real trouble with my printer lately. I started using PETG filament. Initially it was fine and then everything started going wrong. Now I've put some old PLA in there. Initially I was getting no filament through at all. Changed the nozzle, still nothing. Changed the nozzle again, still nothing. So what I ended up doing was pushing a bit of wire all the way down through with the nozzle removed, pushing it right through, and this came out. Now I think that might even be the end of a bit of Bowden cable or tubing, which is the feed between there and there, and I think that's been completely blocked with the PETG and this orange filament, and nothing was going through at all. But having pushed that out, we are at least getting filament go through, but I now don't know whether the really awful looking print that it's producing at the moment is because it's rubbish old filament that I'm using, because I'm using it just to try and get things running, or whether I still haven't cleared it properly. I'm getting that out. It's quite amazing. So I don't know whether that's, I think that's Bowden tubing. I don't think that's just the PETG. It's really crushed on the end. So I've no idea what's been going on there. But we'll let this do a little bit more, and then I might put some decent filament in it and see if it prints okay. And you can see that's all bubbling up. That's awful. One thing I'm wondering is, because it was completely jammed up, it may be the drive teeth are failing and it's not pushing through properly. So we'll let this go through and then we'll see what else we can do. Some parts of that looks okay, but not all of it, clearly. It's awful. Well, having started off really badly, it does appear to be recovering a bit. It doesn't look as bad as it did. We're only 30% of the way through, but it's managed to hide most of the gaps that it created. So it might be sorting itself out. It might be creating a proper flow through. We'll have to do another print in a minute. Let this one finish, have a look at it. And it's clearly not right. And you can see how that should be a nice continuous layer around the outside there, the skirt. And it isn't. And there should also have been a line up the side here while it actually started flowing. But it looks better than it did when it started. So, yeah, we'll come back in a while and see what it looks like when it's finished. There will be a link in the video description to the place that I actually got this STL file from. Well, considering how poorly it started, it actually doesn't look too bad. It's a bookmark. You slide that over the page. You have a cat looking at you. Yeah, I think you can see how rough that looks on that side. It really didn't look like it was going to do anything at all, but it's recovered well. I might actually just print another one, still use the same old filament, just in case it's sort of filled up the chamber and it's flowing properly now, maybe. The first thing we will notice is whether it leaves a line along the edge here, which is where it should start off. Right, this is the second run, still using the same filament. And I'm just going to boost the temperature up to 210. We did at least get the run of filament along the side there, which is where it's supposed to be. This still looks a little bit weak. So we'll boost the temperature up a bit, see if that improves it. But I've got to say, I'm surprised how good that one looks after the really poor start. And that side looks awful, but that side doesn't look too bad. I did readjust the level because that was a bit loose. Anyway, we won't watch this all the way through. We'll come back later and see how it finishes. Right, well that one started better, but finished worse. But I think that's because I'm still using that poor quality PLA. I say poor quality, it was good stuff, but it's been unprotected, just laying there in my box of stuff. So it's probably got damp in it and all the rest of it. So I really ought to try some decent stuff and see if we've actually fixed it. But it certainly looked better that time than it did the previous time, to begin with. I'm happier. I was getting very unhappy with the state of the printer and I'd almost given up with it. So we're a step forwards. Right, third attempt, different filament, changed the nozzle again, realigned the bed again, but I think I need to replace the little bit of Bowden cable that goes from the drive down to the heater element, because I think now that I look at this piece I got out of it, I think that is the end of the Bowden cable, so now it is about 1/4 of an inch short. Oh, it's out of focus, isn't it? Oh. So that means there's a little gap in there that can fill up with filament when it melts, instead of going all the way down to the nozzle. So we'll let this finish and I'll sleep on it. It's getting on. Yeah, it's just starting to go wrong from the looks of it. I don't know if we can see that just there. Yeah, I think that's what it is. I think we've got a gap in there now between the end of the Bowden cable. So that white tube just there, I keep calling it cable, Bowden tube, I think the bottom end of that has broken off. And we need to replace it. I think I have some in the drawer from the original. Yeah. So we should be able to do that fairly easily. Yep, that's all going wrong now. I can see it started off really well. That's all going wrong. I think I've had enough for tonight. Well, I did leave it running and it did fail. That's a shame. Like I said, I'm going to have to look at the Bowden tube in there. I think that's what the problem is now. I wasn't going to do any more tonight. I was going to go to bed. But then I thought I might just as well change that Bowden tube, which I've done. You might be able to see there's a blue one there now. So I've replaced it. I've flushed it through by pushing a piece of wire all the way through to actually push anything out that was stuck in there. Obviously changed the nozzle again, and at the moment it's performing. We've got a nice line up here where it does the initial extrusion just to check it's coming out, and then the skirt around the outside looks good, and as far as it's gone so far it looks good. So I may just leave this running tonight and have a look in the morning rather than coming back every 5 minutes and checking. Well, that looks like a perfect print this time, or as close to perfect as I'm likely to get. There's a few little black spots in there, so there's probably still some burnt filament in line somewhere. But from where we were, which was not printing at all, I think we're okay. So there we are. Got 3. That was the first one that wasn't too bad after it had covered all the holes. Still a little bit messy there. That was the second one when it started going really wrong. And then that was the third one after I replaced the nozzle, replaced the Bowden tube, cleaned it all out, and that seemed to go through all right. Although if you look very carefully, there are some little black dots there, which I think are left in the tube from the previous prints. I don't think it's that filament. Anyway, it looks like we might have actually got the printer working again. So thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Leave us a comment so I know how I'm doing. And somewhere up here there'll be some links to related playlists. Thanks again.